All right. Welcome, everybody. We're going to give it just a couple of seconds here while everybody that was in the waiting room makes their way in here. Sometimes it can take just a couple of seconds. So bear with us here. Seeing people start to filter in now. Give it just a couple more seconds. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is another MotoQuest webinar. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here. This one is near and dear to my heart. Being a native Oregonian, I'm really excited to go over this Lewis and Clark webinar with you guys. Just a couple of notes and reminders to keep in mind throughout the webinar. First of which is if you have questions, please use the Q&A function down below. Try to avoid using the chat function if you can and use the Q&A instead. That would be helpful for us. Some of your questions will be answered verbally, so we'll take breaks throughout the presentation to answer any questions you have. So if we don't get to it right away, we're just waiting for a natural break in the presentation before we answer. So some of them will be answered verbally. Some of them will be answered in a written format. If you had a question about, some particular thing, we might send you a helpful link or resource that you can look at online. So be aware of that. If you're looking at this on your phone, we highly recommend you go landscape mode. It'll make it a much more enjoyable viewing process for you if you turn it to landscape mode, and that way you can see very clearly what we're presenting on the screen. Last little housekeeping note here is this is going to be recorded. So if you have to dip out halfway through, if you are looking to send this to a buddy maybe to get them fired up about the ride, this is going to be recorded. We will upload it to our YouTube channel, and we will be reaching out to you after the presentation with an email just saying, hey, thanks for attending. We appreciate you being there. And just in case you wanted to review the presentation, here's a link to it. So all of that will be in your inbox by the end of the day today. Without further ado, I'm going to hand this off to our founder, Mr. Phil Freeman, and one of our main guides for the trip, Chief.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your day to watch this webinar, and we're looking forward to it. I've got Chief with me. Chief and I have led this trip before. He has led it many times in the past, and he's extremely knowledgeable about this area since he lives there, and he knows where to ride and when to ride down there, and so we're excited to have him. First, I'd like to start with a quote that I like, and I like to start the webinar, each one with the same one, but whether life is short or long, all we possess is the present, and all that matters is what we do in it. We're here to explore, learn, ride, and the Lewis and Clark trip that we offer. It's called the Trail of Lewis and Clark Adventure. It's been really fun putting it together. And if you have not read this book by Stephen Ambrose, Undaunted Courage, you should. And it pairs very well with our trip. It's one of the reasons we even do this trip is because it's not only an awesome top shelf ride, a standalone great ride, but it's also a way to travel through the past and connect all of the movement of people, influences, and then bring it to the present. And so it's not just a ride, it's an education. And this book was invaluable for just the inspiration of this trip. And it took years to put it together and how we were going to do it. And, we have a place in Portland, Oregon, where we base. So we wanted to try to figure out the best riding and educational experience possible for our riders. And it took a couple years to do it. We poured over maps. This is Ron and Lynn. I remember riding with them during patches of this, trying to put it together. And Lynn Brown was invaluable. He's located in Oregon, or no, I'm sorry, Idaho. And he also has led this trip in the past, and he has a real passion for it. And so putting this together took years, trying to stitch everything together and make it a really cool itinerary, but also hit some of the main points where you actually could put your footprints in the same footprints of where Lewis and Clark stood as they were either heading west or east during their Corps of Discovery expedition. So this is a nutshell of what the route looks like. And before we get into it and do a lot of question and answer, I just kind of wanted to go real quick day to day so you have an idea of what you're getting into. Um, our first day is from Portland, Oregon to Maupin, which is in Oregon, and it's on the other side of the Cascades. Awesome ride. Then the next day is Maupin to Joseph with the Antelope Highway, and it's all these unknown, awesome roads through the Dayville area, all the way to Joseph. And then we go from Joseph to McCall through Hell's Canyon into Idaho, get into another time zone, and then McCall to Salmon, Idaho. So it's Wild River, Wild National Forest, Scenic River to another one through valleys. It's beautiful, and we stay 2 nights in Salmon, Idaho. That is where Sacagawea was born and raised. And the reason we do that is we go up to Lemhi Pass, which is the actual first traverse of the Continental Divide by the Corps of Discovery. We actually go to the very spot where the Corps was. Then we go from Salmon, Idaho to Butte, Idaho, and we go by Clark's Lookout when they were trying to determine which river to follow while they're going towards the Continental Divide. We also stop at the Big Hole Battle Interpretive Center, which is actually another time frame years after the Corps went through, and a bittersweet history there. Then we go from Butte, Montana to Great Falls. You have a chance to check out the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center there. And then we go from Great Falls to Lolo Pass, and we stop at a really cool place that they stopped at twice going and coming called Traveler's Rest. And then we go through Lolo's Pass, which is an awesome ride, to Dayton, Oregon. And on that day, we check out Weippe, and that is a place where the Nez Perce literally saved the Corps of Discovery. And we go right there. And then we go from Dayton to Hood River, Oregon. We go down the Columbia River Gorge, and then we get a chance to see the Columbia River Discovery Center, which are cool. If you're into that, they have actual like a cabinet that they had hauled all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast and back. It's a example of just the luggage that they had and stuff like that. It was pretty amazing. And then we go from Hood, Oregon to Astoria, and we go through the Gifford Pinchot National Forest. We check out the Dismal Niche and Cape Disappointment, which was the very furthest western point that the Corps of Discovery visited. And then we cross the river on the Astoria Bridge, stay in Astoria, and then our last day, we go to Fort Clatsop, where the Corps of Discovery wintered. They've got a great replica fort there. And then back roads to Portland. And it's just a great trip. This is a picture of Lynn Brown at Traveler's Rest. Thank you, Lynn, for all that you did on the background. He took time out of his life to just put this together, stitch it together, and actually ride with me too, to try to figure out what kind of experience we could give to our MotoQuest riders. And then there's Chief. Chief has been working at MotoQuest, for many years. He no longer is full-time, but sometimes you can see him moonlighting here and there, and he's never far from fun, roads, and adventure. And he's down in Vancouver, Washington. Here's Chief back in 1805, doing great. But then we saw him as a revolutionary. This is Chief a little bit more dressed up. And then there's Chief in his natural garb, fitting in with the locals. And these are the type of bikes that you'll be seeing on the trip. And this is where we start in our Portland location, and we start and end here. And I just want to make a pause right here for a second and see if there's any questions for me or Chief.
No questions quite yet. Someone asked for a link to the book. We will share that link in the chat down below if you do want to pick that book up and give it a good read. but no other questions at this time.
Okay, we'll move on. And as we're going through the photos, I like to stay about 4 to 6 seconds on a photo unless there's a story. And Chief will be peppering in his infinite knowledge of the area. First, we're going to start with food, everyone. What kind of food are you going to see along the way? Well, you're going to see a lot of diner action and also local delights. So I'm just going to move through these and then I'll stop at the end where you can ask any questions.
And it's a nice variety. We go from, you know, wonderful beef steaks in Montana all the way to amazing Pacific Coast seafood in on the coast in Astoria. Just, you know, some very good culinary delights on this trip. Soup.
From fancy to mainstream, basically.
You don't go hungry. I mean, you know, just like any other MotorQuest trip, nobody ever goes hungry.
There you go. A little bit of Pacific salmon for you. Or that might be trout. Okay. Now we're through the food section. I just thought I'd bring us all together under something we all love. And now we're going to go into the road section. I want to show some photos of some of the awesome roads. Are there any questions until this point?
Yep, nothing yet in the questions.
Okay. First of all, the MotoQuest way is to find the most fun two-wheeled way to get from point A to point B. We're covering a lot of ground. This is a photo of the first day. Chief, can you fill us in about this historic road and where we're at?
Well, this is coming out of a little ghost town called Shaniko that at one time was the.
This one is actually 30. This is Route 30 in the gorge. Sorry,
Oh,
buddy.
okay. Yeah. This is actually, yeah, on the. We take this on the. This was on the way back, but it's from the Rowena Overlook, a beautiful part of the old highway before the freeway, on Highway 30. A lot of twisty roads, so it's easy to get them confused. But yeah, that's just an example of some of the roads that we see on this. They're world class roads. I mean, I've had people do this tour multiple times and say, and these are folks that have ridden all over the world, and they tell me that these are some of the best roads they've ever ridden anywhere, and I second that emotion.
This is these last two photos are the first day of riding, so you get right into it. Now, this is the one that Chief was talking about. This is really one of my favorite days of riding is out of Maupin all the way to Joseph across all these lost highways in Oregon. This is coming out of what's the name of that ghost town?
Shaniko.
Mm. And then you go along the Antelope Highway through the Dayville area. Really beautiful country. We skip into Oregon, or I mean Idaho, and you're going to be following rivers either downriver or upriver, all national forest scenic rivers. This shot is in Lemhi Pass, so this is actually the Continental Divide. This is the spot that the core of Discovery crossed, and that day has dirt surface. So if you don't want to go on the dirt, we do have a support vehicle that'll go with you that day. But we actually go to the spot where the core of Discovery put 1 foot on one side of a spring creek that is the Missouri River and 1 foot on the other. And here's the very top of the pass here.
Yeah, that's right, where Montana and Idaho meet. And that's the headwaters of the Missouri River up there.
Okay, and then we're going to go into Butte, Montana. And we're into Montana, big sky country.
If you've never been in Montana, the minute you start riding in there, you understand why they call it big sky. It's unbelievable.
I would say that the riding changes every day. You've got river valleys one day, big broad valleys another. Then you're in the heavily forested areas. It's just changing, and that's what's wonderful. And they're empty roads.
Yeah, on this trip, I can't even remember, but there's hardly anything that's not a 2-lane road. I mean, there's just a small smidgen in Montana that we have to go on to the interstate, but we're not on there long because it's a pretty quick little pace there.
Going along the Columbia River Gorge as well.
Lots of tunnels.
Crossing the Columbia River. And then the Western Washington and the corridor of trees, Mount St. Helens area. We have some back roads that we snake through all the way to Astoria. Really good stuff. We try to stitch together all the secondary and tertiary roads, so we're off the main trafficked roads. Here's an overlook of Mount St. Helens. And then if anyone has ever taken the Astoria Bridge, here's a shot of that going across the mouth of the Columbia. Okay, just wanted to show you a collection of some of the roads you'd be seeing. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions in the chat here. Sven was asking, how long is the trip? So first of all, just beginning to end, how much time should we budget for this? How long is the entire route? Does it matter where you start? Kind of just give us some broad picture stuff on that.
Okay, it's 11 days of riding. So you have a arrival and departure day. So 13 days you want to budget. We're covering about 250 miles a day. It's more of a rider's ride. So I don't know the total mileage. You might be able to input that in. But it's up there. Chief, do you recall how many miles total?
It's just under 3,000.
Yeah, we're busy every day. And I think one of the days is actually over 300, and it's all side roads. So it's a full day.
And I saw you had a picture of some dirt riding in there a couple of slides back. Could you talk about, how much of the riding is paved versus unpaved?
It's 100% paved, but the one day, if you want to go up to Lemhi Pass, is a gravel road. It's not technical, but if you don't feel comfortable on it, like I said, we do have a support vehicle that comes with us, and you can ride shotgun and come up there, and so that you could see the very start of the Missouri River and see Lemhi Pass, where the Corps of Discovery crested the Continental Divide for the first time.
And we have a little picnic lunch at the top. That's a nice, it's a nice, excuse me, gravel road. It's very well traveled and well maintained.
So if somebody, this tour is something that it's a domestic tour, so people might be more inclined to bring their own motorcycle on the trip. I got Charles asking, it is a dirt road, but would you be able to ride, a big bike down that dirt road, like a K1600 or something of that size?
I've seen Harleys on it.
Okay.
It's if you're comfortable riding your bike on non-tarmac surfaces, no matter what bike it is, you're gonna have no problem there. Like I said, I mean, full blown, vehicles go on it, and it's well maintained.
Nice. Okay. So it doesn't sound like it's anything too gnarly in the grand scheme
No.
of things. Being that this is an all paved trip, do you think this would make a good couples trip for somebody if
Absolutely.
they wanted to ride two up?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay, and that's all we got for now. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, we've had a lot of couples on this trip. One of them has done it 3 times. One couple, but it's definitely a wonderful tour. The hotels we stay in and the little towns are real charming, and yeah, it's definitely good for couples.
Here's a collection of some of the hotels. Here's in Maupin, right on the Deschutes River. This is a really nice setting. We're happy with this venue. good riding in and out. This is Wallowa Lodge near St. Joseph, or Joseph, and this is in Idaho. This is a historic lodge, so you get historic amenities with it. It's just really nicely located at the end of the lake there. This is in Butte, and we stay at this historic hotel downtown. Great food, and it's just kind of a neat little character. It's kind of a town that time forgot. Its heyday is over, but it still has some nostalgia there. We stay at the Sip and Dip and in Great Falls, and if you've ever been here, you know that it's pretty unique for its bar, but it's also a motel situation, and it's kind of fun. Well, there is a mermaid going back and forth while you're having a cocktail, which is interesting, certain time of the day, and yeah, it's just a neat little step out of go into a little bit of Americana. And this one is a picture of Loxa Lodge, and this is in Lolo Pass. And this is a beautiful sort of cabin situation right along the Loxa River. Have a little fire at night. Yeah, it's a good one. And your next day, you have to ride 99 miles of curves. And then any questions? So any other questions before I get into the next section?
Yeah, I got a couple of good questions here, man. Had someone in the chat asking, so you mentioned how long the trip is. What time of year do we do this trip? What's the weather look like? Is it, sunny? Is it hot? Is it cold? Average temperatures? Just touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, Chief, you want to answer that one?
I would say yes. It's the last 2 weeks of September, and so you get some nice, beautiful fall colors. The trip is usually just beautiful weather. It can be a little chilly in the mornings, and from year to year, sometimes it's been a little rain here and there, but nothing terrible. Once we get over into Idaho and Montana, and we're up in the mountains, it can be a little chillier up there. I've seen actually a couple days where we hit some snow going across the mountains in Idaho, but nothing, that wasn't drivable. They keep the roads open and stuff. And it's a beautiful time of the year because school's already back in, so a lot of the other people that are out and about are gone. The places we visit are less busy, and I'd say it's a perfect time of year to do that trip.
It's between the fire season and the snow season, and you got fall colors, which is awesome.
Yeah. September is usually a pretty safe bet for weather if you want to ride in the Pacific Northwest. You touched on the hotels earlier. Just touch on a little bit more, man. How would you describe a lot of the hotels we stay at? Are they pretty historic for the most part? Are they, all over the board? Talk to me about that.
We like to pepper in a bunch of different kinds of styles. So we go from motels to cabins in the forest to historic lodges, to historic hotels in Butte. So it runs the gamut. The quality is as good as it gets in that region. If it's historic, that means that the rooms are going to be a little bit smaller and the amenities won't be, mainstream. But then again, we want that type of experience to permeate through the ride. So we handpick these hotels. They're not main chains. They're just one-offs. And we like to try to go down that avenue.
Nice.
For instance, the one in Salmon, Idaho, where we stay for a couple nights, is right on the Salmon River. So, you can go out on your deck and enjoy an evening, drink and just watch the river go through. In Astoria, we stay right on the Columbia River. Again, just like literally right on the river. And, same thing in on the Columbia River in Hood River. It's a real fun mix of everything from resorts to, kind of old school hotels, and they're all very nice. We stay in one McCall that a guy bought and fixed it up, and on the outside it looks like one of the old ones. You park right in front of your room, you go inside and it's like you have to kind of make sure you're really in the same place. He did such a good job fixing that up.
Nice. Nice. And talk to me a little bit about the roads that we're riding. So it is 100% paved. Talk to me about how technical they are. On a scale of, on one extreme you have like a perfectly straight interstate, and on the other extreme you have, the twistiest mountainous roads in the Alps in Europe or Japan. Where does this trip land
Okay.
in the spectrum?
There is only one section that is comparable to like the twisty roads of Europe, and that's when you're going up to Weippe and back again. But mostly it's all 2-lane roads, like Chief said. We jump on the interstate just a couple times if and when we really have to. But if you want to go baseline, you are leaning into a sweeper one way or the other, literally for 3,000 miles, except for Montana, where you'll have those straightaways that are those awe-inspiring, winds, widescape landscapes.
Right.
And Lolo Pass is legendary. I mean, that's, if you look up the best roads in the United States, Lolo Pass is on there. I mean, that's the famous one, 99 miles of curves, and it was almost, I think it had to have been a motorcycle guy that designed that road, because it's just perfect. And then when we go up through the woods, up through the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, it's a very narrow road. Sometimes not even wide enough for two cars. But it just winds up, and then comes out again on the Columbia River on the other side. But it's got all kinds of roads, but none of them are like extremely technical, except for the one that he was talking about. When we go up to Weippe, that one has got some pretty gnarly switchbacks, but only a few of them, and we very rarely have anybody that has a problem with that. So yeah, the roads are awesome.
Nice, man. Sounds like a lot of good variety in the riding. This, like you guys said, you're covering a lot of ground on this trip, close to, 2,500 to 3,000 miles of the trip. You're going through multiple different states. What state would you say you're spending the most time in out of the ones that you visit?
It's divided pretty much evenly throughout. So yeah, you're hitting Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Washington, and equal parts, several days in each.
Nice. That's awesome. Okay, that's all we got for now.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. If you've never ridden in the Pacific Northwest, it's a great time to see everything it has to offer, from the high deserts to the mountain passes to the Oregon coast, everything from fir trees to pine trees to no trees. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, I'm gonna move on with our next section, and these are places that we're gonna stop that are tied into historic moments during the Cora Discovery expedition. So Lemhi Pass is one of them for sure. We stop in Salmon, Idaho, for 2 days, and there is an interpretive spot there for Sacagawea, where she grew up. And this is where the Cora Discovery managed to get some horses so they could continue on. We stop in Great Falls, and that's the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center. There's actually some really cool things in there. And if you are into that, you're going to love this place. We stop in Weippe. I've heard it pronounced many different ways. I hope I get it right. This is where the Nez Perce basically saved the Corps of Discovery, gave them some guides, and got them directed across Lolo Pass. So we stop in there. It's a cool, really nice loop up there. Kudos to Chief for finding a really cool way out of there, and going in there is really beautiful. This is Clark's Lookout. And this is where they stood there and just tried to figure out which way these rivers were going and which one they were going to follow. And you're standing right in the footsteps of history. We stop at Traveler's Rest, and they stopped here going and coming. And this is right before you climb into Lolo Pass. It's one of the visitor center helpers. And then we move on to Fort Clatsop. And you actually we'll spend quite a bit of time here where you can walk in and out. This is a replica of where they wintered. And they got through the winter so they could prepare to go back east the next year, and it gives you an idea of what the living conditions were like. And that is as far as we go. If there's any questions to this point, otherwise, in the next section, I'm just going to take you for some other things that we'll see along the trip. Anything, Dax?
We just got one question from Herman asking how many riders are in the group. Only one group or numerous groups?
We do one group a year. We like to do it that way. We're more of a boutique motorcycle company, so we like to handpick places and do destinations once a year. Our minimum ridership is 8 participants. That could be 4 couples or 8 single riders. And we take up to 12 motorcycles on our trip. We'll max out at 12.
Yep, and I would just plug here the rental side of the business, which I am more familiar with. If the dates don't work for you, the middle to end of September, of course, we can always rent you a motorcycle, and you can do it self-guided as well. We'd be happy to share our resources with you if you want to go and do it on your own as well.
Yeah, and I'm gonna plug Chief here too, because his knowledge base of the area, especially between you and Dax and Chief, I mean, you guys have lived there for all your. I mean, you guys know all the roads, so all you got to do is call MotoQuest. If you're going to rent a bike, you could do a route consultation with one of these guys, and you're going to know as much as a local.
Yeah, absolutely.
This the next section are just random photos of things you'll see on this particular trip. What's that town again, Chief?
That's Shaniko. That's the old hotel in Shaniko. It's actually run now by the local volunteer fire department, and they get the proceeds. But I mean, you can see the old wooden, boardwalk, and it's pretty cool. I mean, at one time it was like like I said, it was the wool capital of the world. The more wool went out of there than any place else, even Scotland.
And now it's lost. It's just it's a place that time has forgotten. That's kind of a
yeah.
cool
I think at last count there was 11 people living there.
This one is the traffic of downtown Fossil in Oregon. And I just like this one, even though it's a blurry photo. It's just, you're going through these not lost, these Americana, old school farm and ranch towns. And I can't go on enough about how great that day is from a rider's perspective. You're always gaining and losing elevation. You're stopping in these sleepy little functioning Americana towns. It's wonderful. This one's in Idaho. That just gives you an idea of what the perspective of one of the landscapes you'll see. Getting into the mountains, this is Lemhi Pass. Just another day up there, picnic lunch. We go into Montana, and it's got wonderful riding, as you can imagine as well. Picking up local friends there. It definitely fills the bill about Big Sky. We stop at the McNary Lock and Dam on the Columbia River, and there's a salmon viewing portion there. It's kind of cool to see these little critters make their way up the salmon ladder, and they have a plexiglass there so you can watch them. Going down the Columbia River, there's Mount Hood. Just absolutely big, beautiful. MotoQuest style is there's 2 ways to go along the Columbia River Gorge. We do the north on Highway 14, which is a 2-lane, and it's a superior ride. And we're always handpicking the better ride.
On that day, we actually stop at a replica of the Stonehenge that was built there in the early 1900s by a guy named Sam Hill, and it was a tribute to the local people that were lost in World War I. It's pretty cool if you can't make it to the real Stonehenge.
This is a shot of Astoria and the shipping traffic that goes through there. And also going down the coast, this is Cannon Beach. And actually there's a little spot that we like to go where they sent part of the Corps of Discovery to make salt. So they boiled seawater and collected salt and brought it back to Fort Clatsop. Any questions that are out there?
I just had a question for both of you guys. If you had to pick, what would you say your favorite day of the whole trip is, or what's your highlight of the trip for you guys personally?
Oh, Chief, what's yours?
Well, it depends. For riding, it's got to be Lolo Pass, because that's just pure joy. Um, for history, I would have to say, uh, for history, I would think it's the day where we kind of go to the where the headwaters of all the rivers are there, and
Oh, the start of the Missouri River, basically.
yeah, and the all the different names I
The
can't remember. There's
Gallatin.
the
What else is there?
Jefferson. There's the Jefferson, the Gallatin, and the Missouri, and they all are kind of confluence right there, and just and that lookout point, and you're in Lemmy Pass, all the historic places. I've actually ridden the entire route from St. Louis to and Astoria a couple of years ago. Me and a buddy did that because I'd done this, from excuse me, I'd done it from Great Falls many times, and I thought, you know what, I want to do the whole thing. So we rode back there and did the whole path. And even though it's all interesting, you really don't. The best part of it is from Montana west. So yeah, it's the history of it. If you're a history buff, it's and into the United States history, it's an amazing story. The fact that they did this whole journey and never even lost a person, and they came across many people that had never ever seen a white man before. And at that time, there was over 1 million Native Americans living along the Columbia River, and they had, they were eating dogs, because they needed some fat. But yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I would say my favorite day was it is Maupin to Joseph. Those back roads of Oregon are just a delight, and they sit off the radar of most riders. It's awesome, just always changing, good roads. And my favorite history day is Lemhi Pass. Just being able to straddle a spring creek that feeds the Missouri River that eventually, goes out to the Gulf of Mexico. That that is a tremendous moment for the Corps, and actually, it's largely hasn't changed since 1802 and three when they went through there. But
And the day we go from in Idaho, when we go from McCall to Salmon and go up over the Sawtooth Mountains, that's just a gorgeous ride.
yeah.
Nice. And we got a little confirmation here in the chat. Dick commented the best MotoQuest tour I rode on. If I could do it at age 84, then anybody can do it.
Nice. You're an inspiration, Dick.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, that's all we got now, guys. Thank you.
Okay, we're getting into our last sections here, so if you guys have any other questions, go ahead and fire them away. But winding down here, just kind of people that you'll meet along a MotoQuest trip. Of course, these deer were really friendly, but I just have a couple group photos I wanted to impart. But here's that iconic Lolo Pass, 99 miles of sweepers, and it's no joke. You start your day here, and all you can do is smile as you're coming out of these mountains. It's a wonderful ride. Anybody that's done this knows what I'm talking about. You gotta be a little careful. There might be one police officer just waiting, licking their lips, waiting for someone to come out of there a little hot. But sweeper after sweeper. Here's one of our groups, and actually I see the usual suspects at Fort Clatsop. Here we are looking over the gorge just by that Highway 30, that first day out. This is actually our very first stop of the trip. This is Clark's Lookout, and it's really cool just to stand there and think about what it was like to be a part of that group. heading west and all the unknowns. Well, I think that our groups enjoy the history of it. They also enjoy the writing. So it's such a great marriage of both uh, of those hobbies. This is overlooking Hell's Canyon. Really beautiful, and you get to ride to the bottom of that day on a side road.
That's a beautiful day. That's another highlight of that trip. And then you drop down and go actually into Hell's Canyon.
It's just one day after another is how I
It's
was described by some of the riders. It just gets better and better and better, and if not, it's equal parts beautiful and good riding on a different scale. Here's a picture of Cape Disappointment. So this is as far as the Core Discovery went, and this is where Lewis turned to Clark and said, "We're here." And maybe you could see Sasquatch. You know, he's always lurking around somewhere.
That's a place we have lunch. It's an old kind of mining, or excuse me, logging camp, and there's a lot of artifacts there from the logging days.
All right. We're winding it down. I like this last picture because it says a lot of what we're thinking and feeling as a community. Are there any last questions that are lingering out there from our audience before we wrap it up?
We got a question here in the chat asking, Chief, are you going to be the guide on this year?
I haven't signed a contract, but anything's possible.
Nice. All right.
So to be as vague as I can be.
Yeah. Everybody, here's a hint. If you write really nice letters asking for Chief, he has a hard time saying no.
I mean, I love this trip so much that, like I said, I've done it on my own without the tour. Buddies of mine have said, "Hey, let's do some of these roads," and I'll take them on trip. Take them on the same roads that we go on. And it's guys that have lived around here for their whole lives and never seen some of the roads that we take them on. I can't stress enough how unique the roads are, and it, like Phil said, it changes every day. Every day is different. It's not like you never get bored.
Yeah, sounds like a really cool trip between the mix of the writing, the history aspects that tie into it, and everything else, man. Sounds like it'd be a really good trip. Well, that's all we got for questions, guys. Again, we appreciate everyone for being here. We will email you with a recording of this that will be up on our YouTube channel, so feel free to reference that. If you have any questions about this, please reach out to us, and we're happy to work with you on whatever you got. Any other closing remarks, guys?
I would like to personally thank Chief for taking time out of his busy day to impart his knowledge and enthusiasm for such an awesome trip. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome. See you down the road.
And thank you, Dax, for moderating. Thank you very much for all that you do and taking care of the facility in Portland. So you could go see Dax at any time. And you can see, since Chief is a moving man of mystery, you get to see him here or there. But thank you very much for taking your time out of your day to watch this webinar. We hope to see you out there.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.
Bye.